Hey guys, thanks for coming on the channel again. Today we are yet again with Scott Howard from Machine Gun Dad on YouTube. Thank you very much, Scott, for coming on the channel. Scott runs a YouTube channel of his own, Machine Gun Dad. Please give it a look out and please give it a subscribe. Really good stuff on there. Much more in-depth stuff than you'll ever find on TFBTV. Much more, he goes into a lot of more details on stuff like taking these machine guns apart or why one part won't work or will work with another. We'd also like to thank Ventura Munitions for helping us out with the channel and for helping us out with ammunition to shoot the guns that we love to shoot and love to show you shooting. So today we've got the Japanese Type 99 light machine gun, and we'd like to talk about this. This is pretty rare as light machine guns or machine guns go in the United States for NFA stuff. You don't see too many of these after the war, and when you do see them, they're very expensive, especially if they're in a Class 3 registered version as well. So Scott, tell us about the Japanese Type 99, because it had a couple firsts for the Second World War, didn't it?
Well, this particular gun is a transferable gun. It is a war bringback. One of the things that the Japanese did when they found, they're fighting the war, was they found out that really we don't have a really good machine gun. The Type 11, and there are tons of video on the Type 11, was just not a good gun. And then the Type 96, which looks a lot like the Type 99, was better. And they had run up against the Bren gun in China and the American BAR, obviously in the Philippines and stuff, and they realized, well, we're just not on the same playing field. So they came up with the Type 96, but it was in 6.5 Jap. In 6.5, it's really not a good machine gun round. It's kind of underpowered.
Wow, is that fast?
So, and they were in the process of transferring to 7.7. The Type 92, the heavy machine gun, was in 7.7. The Type 99 machine gun, the Type 99 rifle was in 7.7. So obviously they were going to eventually move into the 7.7 on everything. So they came out with this gun, and internally it's pretty much a good copy of the Bren gun. Externally, they did some things that were different. There was an optic sight, and earlier in the videos, some of your videos shots, you'll see the optic sight, and then the one we had on literally fell apart. It wasn't anything we did wrong. It was just so old, and the screws on it are about the size of the tip of a Bic pen.
It's the kind of screws you see in iPhones today, and the whole iPhones together.
Yeah, it holds the back on an iPhone.
Yeah.
But if you look here, you'll see the dial sight, just like the ZB30 or the first generation Bren guns, which is what the Japanese would have seen against the British in Malaysia and the Chinese. This has a quicker change barrel. It's not as easy as the ZB30 or the Bren. You unscrew this and this pin comes out and it goes out the front. I think the Japanese kind of screwed that up. They did do the fins. You can actually affix a Type 99 bayonet to this gun. Again, I think if you've got to use a bayonet on your light machine gun, things have gone pretty bad.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Japanese guns weren't machined properly. I don't know when this gun was made. I dated it. I think it's an earlier gun. I think it's in the 42 era. The outside, you can see some where they didn't really finish up here, but inside it is as finished as well as a ZB30. I mean, the gun is relatively smooth. They did some idiosyncrasy Japanese things that they took things that they should have said, oh, the British are doing this, we'll copy it, not we're going to do this in our typical Japanese military way where it's not practical or it's not efficient. They put this monopod on the back. Kind of neat. You would think if you put a monopod on the back, you'd make it adjustable for height. Now, the only adjustment is if you can, I think there's a place you can catch it where it doesn't fold all the way.
Yeah.
Right here. And even then, that's...
I think would that be more for a gunner to actually hold and actually bring it in tighter?
They called it a monopod in my Janes.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's for a monopod. Another thing they did, and I have a problem with this, you didn't, you're younger and thinner.
Yeah, that's.
This gun was made for smaller people. This curving of this buttstock is totally unnecessary and totally impractical. It makes you, when you grab the gun, you're locked into one shooting position. So it's kind of like, if you're shooting prone, you've got to get your shoulder down low enough to get it over the curve of the gun. You can't set the gun halfway through down on your shoulder. It won't work that way. You have to get it up on your shoulder. So the stock is a terrible design. This is great. This gun doesn't have any semi. We dialed it back down, so it ran pretty good. One of the things that I do like is the safety on this gun, unlike most guns, blocks the bolt. the ZB30 to Bren, they don't block the bolt.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that the safety does block the bolt.
In addition to putting the trigger on safe as well.
Right. But if the bolt's forward and you put the safety on, you can't even rack the gun. I like that idea because if you're shooting, if you have to move the gun, you don't have to worry about the bolt bounce and catching around and firing. Mm-hmm. You got a folding down dust cover and a folding down top cover, so when you're in the Pacific, you're not letting all that sand into your gun.
Yeah.
I don't know the Japanese manual of arms. Did they normally transport them if you weren't in a combat zone this way, or if you were on like an island where you were supposed to have a magazine in place? But the way it seems to me, the way that it's designed to lock the bolt forward and everything, to tighten the gun up, I would assume to protect the gun from the environment. I would assume that was their SOP. An interesting thing about this, when I bought this gun, it didn't have this flash hider. This is from Guyette Manufacturing, who's actually makes stuff for the movies. It had, and if you look in the reference books, the Type 99 and Type 96 both had it. Mm-hmm. There's a little cap with a spring-loaded cover that was used instead of this to keep moisture out and dust out of the barrel. Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, when I bought this, I didn't know any better, and I shot that right off the end.
Yeah.
It was on there, and it was folded out of the way, but the recoil of the gun made the cap flop down.
What do you say about the bipod design?
Bipod's terrible. Absolutely terrible. It's long, as you can see. It has 3 positions, all the way forward, vertical, and back. Mm-hmm. Because of the length of the bipod, the gun's is too high. It's just a terrible design. I mean, and I don't have a Type 96. I don't know if that's a carryover from an earlier design or if that's something specific to the Type 99, but it's a really bad design. And since this was their last light LMG, you think they would have gotten a little better, but they didn't.
The sling swivel is on the right side?
Yeah, I've never seen an original sling.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I read about is even on the Jap rifles, a lot of the slings, because of the jungle, they broke down. They towards the end of the war, I believe they started to rubberize some of the canvas.
Okay.
But they were hurting for rubber. I've never seen an actual canvas sling that held up from that time period. I have seen some early Type 38s with the leather sling, but it was so brittle. If you slung the rifle over your shoulder, it would just. I've never seen an original. I've seen a mock-up, but I've never seen an original Type 99 sling. It's a shame. We destroyed a lot of these, and we should have held on to them for history.